Cool. Robin Slim Show. Hello.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Good. How's it going, Simon?
Yeah, man. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
All right, man.
Good.
Now, what do you do? It said you had 20 years of high martial arts training.
Yeah, man. I do a lot of things. My resume's like as thick as my fist. But these days, I primarily coach men. I work with a lot of business guys, a lot of guys who are trying to, recover from that hiatus where they had kids and got married and got into shitty shape, and want to get back to actually being able to perform.
Be the alpha male.
Pretty much.
Nice.
Pretty much.
Nice.
And it said too you trained soldiers. Was that in the military?
Yeah, I was never in, but I'm British originally, but I ended up in the U.S. years ago training troops who were about to head off to Iraq and Afghanistan. So really, I mean, just an amazing opportunity for me to be able to deliver that kind of training to these guys. Basically, lots of young guys scared out of their wits, pretending not to be, getting ready to deploy. And our job was to give them some really solid training and how to survive when the shit is hitting the fan, enemy was close in, weapons weren't working anymore, a lot of hand-to-hand, a lot of knife fighting.
Wow. I think we have a caller, Robin Slim Show.
Hi, can I talk to James or Jules?
All right. Simon, you there?
Yes.
Nope, that's the wrong one.
Ah. All right.
You should have been like, you can talk to me.
It's time to get Shwifty. Oh.
Robin Slim Show.
Hey, I got disconnected. Sorry,
Yes,
Carl,
I'm
with
sorry
that.
about that, Simon. That was my bad.
No worries. Shit happens.
Yeah, man. So, what do you do now? Do you do, you instruct businessmen, you said?
Yeah, actually, when I moved over to the U.S., I got away from the martial arts and the training soldiers as a career, and I moved over here around the time the economy was heading south in '08. So I tried to get into business, started a few businesses, and I was dealing with all the challenges. And I just saw firsthand how hard it was to be in business. I met a lot of guys in business who were super talented, but didn't have that killer instinct, didn't have that self-confidence, didn't have that ability to really perform at a high level like they needed to for themselves and their families. So now I coach a lot of guys who own businesses or, realtors, mortgage producers, so that they can take care of business, not just in their businesses, but also get themselves in great physical shape, get themselves in great mental, spiritual shape, and be there for their families, their wives and kids as well. So really the whole 360.
Oh wow, that's pretty neat. So what do you spiritual, like Buddhism or? Yeah,
I mean that's a really interesting question, isn't it? Like you hear a lot of people, and as soon as they mention spirituality, they have to say, well, this is not a religion.
Right.
But my perspective on it is, I work with guys who are Christian, I work with guys who are general spiritual, and really what it comes down to for me is not about what God you worship, but do you have a sense of clarity and calm inside of yourself? And, from that space of clarity and calm, you can typically operate a lot better, think faster, be more creative. So really it comes down to the individual.
How can you train yourself to do that, though, in, like...
A lot of meditation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry,
yeah,
a lot of discipline.
Meditation is a fantastic tool for that. I can talk a little bit about that. But the first thing that a lot of guys need to do is just dump all the bullshit and all the conversations in their head and all the bullshit stories and excuses. Because that's really the main barrier to even having any sense of calm, is every time you sit down, you're trying to distract yourself with watching TV, taking drugs, drinking, watching porn, or whatever. So you get away from that all the shit that you're carrying inside of yourself. So really the first thing we got to do is clear that out. And, through journaling, through just some fucking honesty in your life in terms of how you talk to people, how you show up. And then obviously tools like meditation. And I don't like a lot of just really slow meditation techniques. But if you're a Buddhist monk in a temple for the rest of your life, you got a lot of time. Whereas the traditional warrior path meditation is you got 3 minutes to meditate before the enemy comes through the gate. So you got to be able to drop into a very calm, collected, centered state very, very rapidly and keep it.
How can you
That's
do
really
that?
where we operate from. A lot of practice. I use a few different tools actually. So I use a lot of I spend a lot of time in Japan, so I have a lot of techniques based in Zen or Chinese Taoism. But we also use biohacking techniques. So all the guys who I work with, we get them some really cool devices that they connect up to their pulse, and they basically get feedback on their iPhones.
Okay.
And what that allows them to do is very rapidly teach themselves to drop into a very calm physiological state. And once you're in a calm physiological state, then you can work on the mind a little bit. Whereas it's impossible to do the other way around. If the body's stressed out and excited, it's pretty hard to get any kind of mental control going on.
Yeah, I actually have gotten into like not mindfulness is what I've been practicing lately, like really trying to get myself into the present moment, and I have found that helps a lot to get rid of all the bullshit in your head when you're just kind of paying attention to what's going on around you and not thinking about your memories or thinking about the future, but living in the here and now. But it's also very, very, very difficult, especially because I've spent my entire life at a very low level of consciousness, to where, like, where I am now, I look back and it's almost like my whole life has been black, like just in this darkness, versus like the clarity that I'm starting to experience now. And again, I go off and on because like I started this kind of like a year ago, and you know, a couple months back I had fell off. I think I, you know, maybe like asked a girl out and got rejected, and then suddenly got all emotional and started going back into getting into my head and stuff like that, and realized, like, when I started getting depressed again, I was like, okay, get back into the moment, center yourself, get the thoughts out, and suddenly everything's like a lot better. But
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. If you think about it, everything that's in the past, and, you know, a lot of guys spend a lot of time either dwelling on bad things that happened in the past, or even worse, I meet a lot of guys who were kicking ass in their life, you know, financially, let's say 5 or 10 years ago, or athletically 5 or 10 years ago, and so much of their mind is spent dwelling on past victories or past defeats. And the funny thing is, there's absolutely zero fucking power in doing that. It's gone, it's burned, it's dust. So any time spent there is a waste of time. Likewise, most guys who I meet who are dealing with some kind of anxiety are spending a lot of time worrying about some made-up future, which exists only within their minds. And again, your power and your ability to change your life has zero leverage in the future. So really the only place where you have effectiveness is right here in the present moment. And yeah, that's why mindfulness is a great practice, because the more time, effort, and power you spend here, the better you can change your life and the faster you can change your life.
yeah, and you know what? It was very interesting for me discovering mindfulness, because it had started where I had decided that I was too emotional, and I was like, hey, I need to get my emotions together, and I started researching and looking up things on the internet, and I got all kinds of different books on, like, emotional control, but, like, the ones I got, like, I don't know if you know who Nathaniel Branden is. He wrote a book called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, which is an amazing book, but all these different books still seem to all point to being conscious and being in the moment and mindfulness, and that's what, you know, kind of pushed me in that direction. I was like, there's something here if everybody is kind of saying, like, hey, you got to be in the moment, you got to be mindful, and that was interesting to go in that direction.
Well, I'll give you a little distinction. I'm aware of what I call passive meditation techniques, which is very much kind of sitting, breathing, being in the moment,
Right.
observing your thoughts as they come past. And I also use what I call active meditation techniques, where you're very specifically running through a protocol of feeling very specific emotions or breathing very specifically, or actually doing. And a number of years ago, I had some fucking crippling depression. I mean, I was thinking about suicide. I wasn't quite on the verge, but I was pretty close. I had a buddy of mine who had been dealing with anxiety and depression his entire life, Chad, and he was mentoring me a little bit on how to deal with these things, because it was all new to me. And he actually killed himself. He went into his garage with a rifle and ended his own life.
Wow.
And that kind of, I mean, like a bolt of lightning in my life, that woke me up to the fact that depression for men is not something which is an annoyance that we just have to push through and deal with. It's something that actually can kill us. And in that space, when I was working with some of my old Zen techniques, which are very, very much based in mindfulness and just breathing and being with whatever's happening in the moment, I found that when I was in a really dark place, that was the worst thing I could do, being with where I was at in the moment.
Wow.
So I found that a lot of the active meditation techniques, where you're breathing very specifically, working yourself through very specific rotations of action, and I use them to be able to very rapidly move from that depressed state into a very happy, cool, psyched, and sexy state. And I'll send you a meditation later on if you want.
Cool, yeah, I
walk
would
you through
definitely.
exactly through that protocol.
Yeah, I
It's
would
really
be
good
interested
stuff.
in that, definitely. Awesome.
Did you what did you start training in? What martial arts?
when I was younger, I really got serious back in high school and college. Jiu-jitsu, karate. I used to fight on the Edinburgh University karate team. So I was actually in law school at the time. And if you can imagine what law school back in Scotland is like, you're talking about a building that's 350 years old with a lot of really preppy law students. I was the kid who came in on a Monday morning with busted lips and black eyes. And the funny thing was, right, people are really uncomfortable with conflict. People are really uncomfortable with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hardly anyone ever asked me what the hell was going on in my life.
Oh,
but yeah,
wow.
I was training and stuff then. And then when I graduated law school, I had this moment where I decided that being an attorney was the last thing I wanted to do.
Right.
It just wasn't in line with me anymore. So I actually moved out to Japan for about 4 years and studied with an old man. He's 85 years old now. His name is Masaki Hatsumi. And he's the grandmaster head teacher of the Bujinkan, which is an amalgamation of samurai arts and ninja arts.
Wow.
Do you know that? Do you know that move from Kill Bill? Did he teach you the move from Kill Bill?
Which one, man? Which one?
The one with
the heart
eyes,
explode.
or the heart explosion. Yeah, the
Dim
heart
Mac.
explosion.
The Dim Mac. The
The
Death
five-
Touch.
That's cool, but why make a mess, you know? Like, I might be wearing something nice. I don't want an exploding heart in my face.
That's cool. How long did you study there?
I was there for about 4 years. I went out for one, and then just having such a great time, and just being in the birthplace of some of these martial arts that are 900, 1,000 years old, was just such an amazing experience. And the great thing about Japan as well is not just that all these arts are born there and practiced there, but you find even among the Westerners in Japan, only really serious martial arts guys there live. So the community was just incredible, and the ability to cross-train in a bunch of arts was just the experience of a lifetime.
Awesome. What was it like training with a guy like that, like an older guy? Is it like being around like a higher being?
That's a really interesting question. I think at a certain point it does feel that way, especially when it's somebody like you've been reading his books since you were a kid and suddenly you're in a room with him. But as I've trained more and I've worked more on my meditation, spirituality, all these kinds of things, I'm more and more coming to realize that people are just people. And some people have been training longer, some people have been down a long road, but they're just people, and everyone has flaws. And I think it can really screw you up in whatever you're doing in life, put people on pedestals.
Yeah.
And even people who are absolutely world leaders in their field, there are still parts of their life that are fucked up. They still have insecurities. They still have their own challenges. So I try to get away from that way of thinking because it can put you on a road where you have blinders on.
Right.
But no, being around a guy who's in his 80s and hits harder than a 20-year-old and is absolutely terrifying is definitely a very humbling experience for a 20-year-old. You know what I mean? Because you go out there and you're thinking, well, he's probably been training a long time, but he's pretty old. I could probably be faster than him.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're dealing with this guy who can drop down into full splits, jump higher than you, move faster than you, and tie you up 10 different ways without you knowing what's going on. And suddenly you realize that you're pretty shit.
Yeah, I could also see that being like inspirational too. Being like, I'm gonna be like that guy when I'm old. Like,
it
that's
makes you
the
just
old
realize
guy I wanna
how useless, not useless, but helpless. Helpless
Right.
you really are. So
Yeah.
you've learned.
Totally like a little fish on a hook. Yeah. No chance of escaping yet. It's pretty terrifying, but at the same time, it does change how I train. I'm 36 now, and a lot of guys who train in a lot of martial arts, by the time they hit 50, they're so injured and their knees are messed up. My goal is to be able to train. If I'm still alive in my 80s, I'd like to still be training. So now I train in a way that at least gives me the ability to survive damage and injury together.
Yeah. Now, can you go into a trance with your meditation?
Well, trance and meditation is a little bit different. Trance is really, it's all words, right? These things all mean the same thing. But can you go very, very deep into meditation? Yes. Just the other day, I had a bunch of guys in a room who'd been training with me for 3 days, and we had them basically go on full shamanic spirit journeys, getting all kinds of information and inspiration about their life. So if you can consider that a trance, I would say yes.
Cool. What
But the other thing as well, man, is that meditation can give you all kinds of really cool, really amazing out-of-body experiences. But where a lot of guys get caught up is they think that that's what it's all about, and then they go chasing these experiences, and then you're just attached to that outcome. And meditation is really about becoming unattached.
Okay.
Really, it's just about a daily practice, and whatever happens, and then you just come back to your daily practice.
Yeah.
Because really, really the results are like how effective can you be in your life, not how cool can your meditation be, right?
Yeah, that's
how
interesting.
How present can you be with people? How well can you do in business?
That's interesting that you say. I don't know if you know. Are you familiar with Jed McKenna?
No.
He claims to be like an enlightened guy or something. And
is that a cousin of Terrence McKenna?
No. But he claims that no, it's not. He claims to be like an enlightened guy or whatever, but he actually mentioned at one point that like when you're chasing enlightenment or something, there's going to be points where you'll get like these magic abilities, which I guess would be like out of body experiences. And he says you're not supposed to stop there. You're supposed to turn those away and keep going.
McKenna?
Yeah, in the Indian tradition, there are things called the Sikhi or the powers, which are like psychic abilities, out of body experiences, those kinds of things. And they're cool, but they're also a massive trap. And then you can very quickly find yourself just chasing those experiences. So, you do a lot of meditation, and suddenly you find women are really attracted to you, and because you're really calm, really present. But then you start to meditate because that's what you want, and now now you're gradually wandering off the path, and that's why I say it just comes back to a daily practice, and how much can you improve yourself as a human being? I don't really believe in enlightenment. I believe there are certainly stages to move through, but it's just that how fully can I live? How present can I be in the moment? And how deeply can I be here for other people?
Nice.
More importantly.
Yeah. Did you have any questions, Pete?
How long, again, were you in, how long were you training in Japan for again? Like, exactly?
I think 4.
Yeah, I was there for, I lived in Japan for 4 years.
4 years. And
I
all
lived
that
in
time
Osaka, Japan.
And all that time you were training there too, right?
Yeah, training pretty much every day for that period of time.
That's pretty
How did you find out about that guy? Did you inquire about him, or did you know about him before you went there?
Yeah, I'd been reading his books as a kid.
Oh, okay.
And, I never had planned to go out there. And then I realized at a certain point that if I wanted to, I just had to make it happen. And that's what I did. I started reaching out to people, found some guys who were out there training with him, and found myself a job in Japan and jumped on a plane. That simple. Sometimes in life we can make things that we want to have really, really difficult and unobtainable. But usually if you just look at how you can make something happen, it's not that difficult.
Awesome. That's cool. You have any more questions?
No, I guess we could take a break.
All right, Simon. Thank you so much for talking to us, dude. It was awesome.
No worries, man. Glad to be on the show. You guys sound really cool. And hey, fire me a message on Twitter, and I'll get you that meditation for you.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Awesome.
And I'll tweet you all the links. When this goes up, I'll tweet you the links to the interview and all that. Where can everybody find you?
WarriorProtocol.com is a great way to connect with me. Simon Smart on Facebook. And I actually have a little video series that I send out to people if they're interested in learning more about what we do, in the family and how we train men. So there's basically what you got to do is send the word Warrior Protocol to 678-506-7543, and we'll be in touch.
Awesome. Dude. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys. Take care.
You too. This is really cool.
Yeah,
that dude was
impressive.
cool as hell, and he was all about the art. Like he wasn't trying to
being a better person. Yeah, he wasn't about
he wasn't. And I like that too, where he's like, I don't really believe in enlightenment. I just believe about being in the moment and just not being outcome dependent. Like I noticed that a lot about like in the past where I've tried to work out, it's always been like I'm gonna get big and muscular so I can pick up chicks, and then you just never stick to it. And I think that's because you have that outcome, and when you start, you gotta want it for yourself.
That's why I've gotten to the point that I'm at right now. Is people who know me know that over the last 2 years I've lost like 110 pounds,
right?
And I've started going to the gym,
and
that was all for me. It wasn't for anybody else. The doctor told me, the best way to lower your blood pressure, because my blood pressure was ridiculously high.
Wow.
The second number was never less than like 95 or 90, and that was on average. So he's like, the best way to lower your blood pressure was to lose some weight. I'm like, well, I guess I'm losing weight then. So
that's awesome.
And thank you.
Yeah, it is easy to stick things when it is for you. Like,
exactly.
Your mind, you got a goal. You work
it's not. It wasn't for anybody else. It was for me. So that's what I did.
You aren't looking for approval. You aren't like, oh, people are gonna like me or talk to me more.
No, absolutely.
It's
like, I'm not.
I had somebody ask me that when I was in my 20s, like, you want to do steroids so we can go to the beach with the shirt off? And I'm like, no.
So you can go to the beach
Well,
with
see,
your shirt off.
You can go to the beach and you can go to the beach without your shirt, but they don't want to look at your little fucking wiener that's all shriveled up from steroids.
And the back knee on you.
Yeah, not to mention they look at you wrong. You want to tear their face off.
All right, guys, we're taking a break. We'll be back.
Same dude too once was like, oh, I fight my dad every day, but he's cool with it because he knows I'm on steroids. He goes, oh, that's
What the
that's
fuck?
Cool. Yeah, he's a retard.
Yeah, that's totally cool.
My one friend told him he thought he had Down syndrome. He's like, I think you have Down syndrome, dude.